WrestleMania 41 Night 1. Let me first off by saying that is how you end a WrestleMania main event. Oh my God. Seth has aligned himself with Paul Heyman. A lot of people called it because he's been a third wheel in this feud, but I didn't think they would actually do it. I called Seth winning this match in a triple threat because he needed it more than Punk and Roman, because there are the two biggest stars in this industry, and Seth is just not at that level. But now aligning himself with Paul changes the game for real, like Seth said, or has been saying, leading up to this match for the past couple weeks now. I have no idea what this looks like. It doesn't look real. Like, I'm just like, what is this, AI? This is insane. Like, Paul with Seth, I can't even imagine what that is, right? But we'll get to that near the end. But let me give my overall thoughts about WrestleMania 41 just off rip, how I'm feeling right now. Originally, before that main event, I felt like WrestleMania didn't feel like WrestleMania. It felt more like a very solid SummerSlam or a great maybe Backlash. For some reason, it didn't have that oomph to it. Now, however, it started off with Jay and Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. We all knew that was what was going to be to start off WrestleMania. And I'm not gonna lie, the story they told with Jay and Gunther was brilliant. It was brilliant. They basically did the Edge versus Undertaker story, where Edge, WrestleMania 24, Edge had Taker's number. Like, he kept reversing everything that Taker was doing. And that's kind of the story they told here, where Jay just had Gunther's number. Like, Gunther could never get consistent offense going. Like, Jay just kept reversing. Like, he had Gunther scouted, and I love that. Gunther made Jay look like a goddamn main eventer right here. I know there's been a lot of noise about Jay and he not being good in the ring and he's not believable and all that. Look, say what you want. He worked his butt off in that match versus Gunther, and that was a very solid way to open WrestleMania. Again, Jay never really looked weak, which is interesting because usually it's like a weird contrast between last year with Sammy, where Sammy was always fighting back, but Jay was there like the entire match. Like, even though Gunther was in control, you could say, but like Jay was right there. Like, it was like 50-50. I would damn near say 60-40 Jay the match, to where Jay he was in control, bruh, and it was like, wow. And the fact that he won with Gunther sleeper and Gunther tapped out, I know the internet is pissed. Some of the IWC is like pissed that Gunther tapped to Jey Uso. Nobody in their right mind would ever predicted that would be the finish. A lot of people thought Jimmy was going to get involved somehow, and I'm glad they didn't do that. If Jay was going to win his first world title, it had to be by himself, and I thought this was a great way to make Gunther lose his title and make Jay look strong here. Again, it was a fight throughout. Again, this wasn't a typical Gunther controls 80% of the match and Jay is fighting back. He was in control, and it was a back and forth throughout most of the entire match, and Jay had Gunther's number. So this was a great way to start off WrestleMania. And Gunther, I hope when he gets his next title reign, Triple H builds him way better, because this title reign he had from SummerSlam to WrestleMania was not it. I don't know what happened. He got booked so great as an IC champion, and then once he became a world champion, it's like they all of a sudden forgot how to book him. So I'm praying that whenever he decides to get the title, hopefully it's the WWE title, that they book him as the king and the ruler, the ring general that he was back in NXT, back when he won the IC title. But we'll see. Meanwhile, with Jay, what I tell you, I'm so happy for Jay. I keep going back to during the pandemic, 2020, Roman just turned heel. Jay wins like a fatal 4-way or something to become the number one contender for Roman's title. And I just keep thinking about that moment to where it's like, oh, they're going to actually push Jay as a single star. And they told that great story with Roman, how Jay just isn't ready for this moment, how he doesn't belong here. Roman has to win to feed the family. This is not Jay's time. It's Roman's time. And Jay just wanted to prove that he could be more than just a twin. He could be more than just a tag team wrestler. He could be more than just be in the shadow of Roman, that little cousin, right? So I just keep thinking back to that time. And I think about a year and a half ago when he pinned Roman Reigns at Money in the Bank, and he left the bloodline to go over to Raw, and he had a tag team with Cody Rhodes and does the unforgettable press conference with Cody, does the yeet because he's drunk, and wins the titles, the tag team titles with Cody, and that kind of launched the yeet movement, all because he was drunk after winning the tag titles with Cody. But it was genuine emotion because he was like, I'm not supposed to be here, Oos. Like, Jay's not supposed to be here. Like, if you know the history, like Jay has a history to him. So the fact that he was able to get to this moment right here, and again, when he won that title and I saw Jimmy come out there, I broke down crying, dog, because I'm like, I can't believe this is actually happening. I thought Jay, he's definitely going to probably be a US or IC champion, but I never thought that he will actually be a world champion, especially in a Vince McMahon era where we saw so many talented guys never get the opportunity to be more than what they could be because Vince did not see value in them. I'm like, I just don't know if even a Triple H will put his trust in putting a title, a world title on Jay. And he did. And the crowd loves him. However you want to spin that, well, no matter what you think, he is over and the crowd loves him. I love him, and I'm so glad he got this moment. I'm not really worried about, how he's going to be booked. I'm not worried about that. I'm just happy for this moment. I don't expect him to have a long title reign. I'm going to be straight up with you. Based on what happened tonight, I have a idea what's going to happen. But yeah, I don't think he's going to have a long title reign. And it is what it is. But I'm just glad to see he had this moment. Kind of like a Mick Foley back in 99 when he beat The Rock on January 4th of 1999. Like, I'm just happy he got this moment, right? When people thought it was impossible. Jay Uso. Jay freaking Uso, dog. I can't believe it. So, yeah, I'm just so happy for Jay. And again, shout out to Gunther. Made Jay look like $1 billion. Hopefully he can carry this on. Next was the tag match for the Raw Tag Team Championships between New Day and the War Raiders. And I just like I can't believe Jey Uso won the world title, I still can't believe how cold the New Day has been since turning heel. They were the hottest thing smoking after turning on Big E back in December of last year. And they had a good 6 weeks of doing great storytelling to where everybody turned on them. The locker room turned on New Day. The commentators, even their own family turned on them. And I think that would have been the proper moment to put the tag team titles on them. They should have did it right then and there. So I don't understand how creative and Triple H just forgot about New Day and didn't do anything with them for 2 months, 3 months. My guess is maybe they thought Big E somehow miraculously could get involved, but I think it's pretty safe to say right now Big E just isn't in the shape that has the ability to get involved, at least physically. So that's my only guess, is that they really were banking on Big E to get involved somehow. Maybe. But yeah, I see New Day come out, and shout out to the great gear. Again, New Day have always been on point when it comes to presentation. Dope gear. It really breaks my heart because they come out and the crowd is not really reacting. When again, just 3 months prior, they were getting booed out the building. So I'm just like, God, this really sucks. But then I go back to a decade earlier where they weren't getting the proper response, but at least they were getting something. New Day sucks. They weren't even getting that here. It was just really nothing. But they have a very good Raw main event tag team match with the Raiders. They did everything. The New Day and the War Raiders did everything to look good. And just the crowd were kind of getting into it. But again, I just think it because the story they told there was no story. So the crowd couldn't really get invested because they haven't told any story leading up to this match. But the New Day won. I'm so happy the New Day won. They were able to win without really, it kind of did heelish things, but they kind of won clean, for real. And what's crazy is I've been booking this for the past 5 years of New Day being babyface and having that heel faction. It was the Hurt Business. It was the Vicious Bloodline. Like, I kept booking in my mind every WrestleMania, New Day finally winning at WrestleMania as a team. Because you look through the history, they have never won as a tag team, which is insane to me. And I thought for sure at some point Xavier, because he's a historian and he thinks like that, would have brought that up. But that wasn't even a thing. And I'm shocked. That has never been brought up. That New Day has never won as a tag team. And hopefully on Monday, Xavier and Kofi say, see what happens when we broke away from Big E. We stopped listening to you. We finally won as a team at WrestleMania. Right? So I'm so happy for New Day. Hopefully they can reset this tag team division, reset the New Day. But yeah, that was a very, very solid Raw main event. But in terms of WrestleMania, nobody's going to remember this match at all. And that's sad, but it's true. It's damn true. Following the tag team match was the one match that was built probably better than anything this entire WrestleMania season. Jade versus freaking Naomi. I was looking so forward to this. I love the packages they've been doing, the promos. Naomi, I was so interested to see what her new look would be, what her new interest would be, and she comes up there in the caution tape. She comes out like a football team, a college football team would. She comes out the caution tape. I'm like, oh my God, I love you. You gotta be kidding me. Shout out to Don West, RIP. And so she's in the new caution tape gear. She has some like headbanging metal type of theme. I'm like, I would have never thought Naomi would have a headbanging metal type of theme. Now, you don't see that with, let's be honest, with black, especially black female wrestlers. They usually don't have like metal, heavy metal type of theme. So I'm like, yo, this is crazy. This is different. And again, the promos she's been doing, she's been psychotic. She's felt like she's been in the right the entire time. She does not apologize about whatever she's done. And then you have Jade, who again looks like a proper star. And Jade and Naomi have a very, very good match here. Jade, who is well known, she's not the greatest in the ring. And when she was in AEW, she had short matches because they tried to mask the fact that she can't really wrestle. And so, again, in my eyes, she was taken out for so long for this moment to finally see, can she hang in the ring? Again, it was a proper, I think, like 10-minute match. Exactly what I thought it would be. Yep, 9:20. So it was a 10-minute match to where Jade and Naomi made Jade look like $1 million. They were a little bit, timing was a little bit off throughout the match, but it didn't really hinder this match. Naomi was vicious, she was aggressive, but Jade was also vicious and aggressive, which is great because it's not supposed to be a wrestling match. There should be a fight, because Jade almost lost her life because she got pushed off a platform onto a car. So she shouldn't be trying to have a wrestling match. And Naomi is vengeful because she feels like Jade took her spot and Bianca didn't have her back. So she also is pissed off. So I love the aggression from both ladies in here. We saw, man, Naomi and Jade, like Jade, I don't even know how to I don't even know how to describe it. Like Naomi went off like the middle rope into like almost like a blockbuster, but Jade reversed it into like a suplex, jackhammer type deal. I'm like, I don't know how she did that. And then at the end, Jade did like this I forget what you call it. Like, Naomi was on top of Jade's shoulders, and she flipped her into a powerbomb. I don't know how she did that, bro. And then she did her finisher move and won the match, but she should have. But yeah, this was a proper welcome to the WWE match here. Jade's first singles match in the WWE. Well, proper singles match. She had a singles match versus Nia Jax, which I'm still wondering what happened to her. But yeah, Jade defeated Naomi, which is exactly what should have happened, even though I was rooting for Naomi because I love how much she has evolved her character and improved her character. Jade is going to be a big star in this company, and hopefully she can use whatever she's learned over the past 6 months, use this and then book her properly, which I'm not really concerned about that. They book her properly. Hopefully she takes that US title or IC title, one of those mid-card titles, and makes that feel important like she did with was it the TBS title, I think? Hopefully do that soon. Naomi, meanwhile, I really hope she takes that title off of Tiffany Stratton. It is nothing against Tiffany Stratton, but Tiffany as a character is cold in my opinion. And Naomi, I think, is red hot, and I think within the next couple months they need to put that title on Naomi and do Naomi Jade 2 for the title and have Naomi beat Jade, and then you do the rubber match at like either a SummerSlam or even maybe you can do it at WrestleMania next year. I don't think they'll put it all the way out there, but push the feud all the way out there. But yeah, I really like what these two did. Again, shout out to Naomi because it was on her to carry this match, and just everything, her mannerisms and everything about her, she just fits so well as a heel. And usually the best heels are great baby faces, and I'm like, how you gonna get the people to boo Naomi? She's just a great human. Like, how you gonna get people to boo her? But she's just she found something. I don't know how she did it, but she found something to tap into to where she's just a psychotic, just evil person. So yeah, shouts out and shouts out to Jade and Naomi, man. They did the damn thing. Following this was the US title match between Jacob Fatu and LA Knight, which is very insane to me because I think it was last year at WrestleMania when LA Knight took on AJ, or LA Knight was facing somebody, and there's a video of Jacob Fatu being in the crowd, being a super duper LA Knight fan. So I found it to be such a full circle moment. Like, Jacob Fatu wasn't here a year ago. Like, he just came in last summer, and he's one of the most over characters in the WWE right now because he is so unique and different from everything we have seen. Yada, I mean, all gas, no brakes. Like, he's just a dude. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, he's just a motherfucker. Like, he really him. I don't even know how else to explain it. Like Booker T would say, no bread, no water, all meat. Pause. Like, he's just like, man, if him and Omi Femi ever had a match, I think the world will explode. I can't wait to eventually get that Jacob Fatu Braun Breaker match. I think that's going to feed generations. But yeah, LA Knight comes out. He's a big star. I thought it was kind of funny. He came out in a car, and I'm like, are they going to do the John Cena? Nah. He's on the passenger side, just rolls the window down, and the music hits. I'm like, oh, okay, that was kind of anticlimactic, but whatever. So yeah, LA Knight and Jacob Fatu had a very good match. They definitely pick up at the end. Jacob Fatu went to do his patented moonsault. LA Knight reversed it into a BTF or BFT, and I'm like, holy hell! Like, the reversal of that, because the timing on that has to be perfect. And LA Knight was able to get the perfect timing on reversing the moonsault into the BFT. I'm like, holy hell. And then Jacob Fatu kicked out of that. I'm like, what? Yeah, and then Jacob Fatu eventually does multiple moonsaults onto LA Knight and wins the match. But yeah, this match throughout, the crowd was into the beginning. Then it kind of were sitting on their hands in the middle. And then by the time you got to like the third quarter or top of the fourth quarter of this match, the crowd just started being like, oh, I guess we should start being into this match. And the crowd, you can definitely hear the crowd were definitely into. Both these guys are super over, man. LA Knight and Jacob Fatu, it was like 50-50. The crowd were both for LA Knight and Jacob Fatu, which is great, in my opinion. Yeah, so, and I'm not worried about LA Knight. LA Knight losing doesn't do anything to him. Even though he did lose clean in Shinsuke last year as well. Like, he's not a Cody Rhodes or a Roman or somebody that needs to win all the time. I like the fact that he can lose, and I think he's still over. I think the problem with a lot of the baby faces in the past, like a Cena, like a Roman, is they always won. And it's hard to get behind someone who's never vulnerable, who never has a weakness. I like that LA Knight lost here, and hopefully, I said it in my predictions, hopefully after this, he goes on to win King of the Ring and goes on to go after probably the World Heavyweight Championship, which I don't suspect Jade to be the champion by the time we get to SummerSlam, but that remains to be seen. But yeah, solid match from both. Again, the crowd was into the beginning, was kind of chill in the middle, but they definitely got into it near the end because Jacob Fatu and LA Knight definitely had their working boots on. And when I tell you, I cannot wait to see what Jacob Fatu does from here on out. That guy definitely is going to be a world champion by somewhere in 2026. Like, he has to be. Like, he's just too good. But yeah, that was the U.S. title match. And let me just say, it's still, as someone who's been like going back in my WrestleMania bag or watching previous WrestleManias, it's just so nice to have the mid-card titles, like the U.S. title, be at WrestleMania in a proper match, not a multi-match. Like, no, I'm glad that it's one-on-one. I'm glad that it's one-on-one. You have two stars that are super over. Just see who the best man. Let's have the best man win. So I really like that. Meanwhile, the next match had to be switched up a little bit. Is El Grande Americano versus Rey Fenix, because Rey Mysterio got hurt. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not glad that Rey Mysterio got hurt, but I'm happy that Rey Fenix was a replacement, because to be brutally honest, I don't feel anything when I see Rey Mysterio wrestle anymore. I felt like he had the proper story to end his career with by going against Dominic Mysterio at 39. But he beat Dominic Mysterio. And I thought, well, hopefully they double back at WrestleMania 40 to do like title versus title. To do like mask versus hair. And Rey has never lost a mask match outside of like Kevin Nash back at WCW. And I'm like, that would be the proper way for Dom to get his first proper win versus his dad. And we get the retirement of Rey at WrestleMania 40. Now, I don't know how much longer Rey Mysterio has, but I'm like, he's always been injury prone. I don't want him to become someone like a Taker who is trying to continue to search for that great last match, even though Rey can definitely go way better than Taker could near the end. But I'm just like, like Rey has been in the, I've seen Rey since the late 90s. Like, I don't need to see Rey no more, respectfully. So I'm glad Rey Fenix got this moment. Who would have thought just 6 months ago, Rey Fenix and Penta are gonna be at WrestleMania? That's just crazy to me, man. Shout out to Tony Khan, boy. That boy fumbled like a motherfucker, didn't he? So I don't know how to feel about this whole feud, to be honest with you. It's a comedy type feud. It's not to be taken serious, right? So I'm like, I didn't know who was going to win here because in my mind, I'm like, well, Ray's going to win to show that the luchadors are not to be played with. You don't play on the luchador's name and the heritage of being a luchador. So I wasn't sure who was going to win here now that Ray Phoenix got put in as a replacement. But Chad Gable, Grande Americano and Ray Phoenix had a very solid match here. Again, it's kind of difficult because they don't have the story because Ray Phoenix has not been in this feud. So again, you have a situation to where it's kind of hard to be emotionally involved in this match or feel anything. But I thought Grande Americano and Ray Phoenix did everything they could to put on a performance, and again, it was very, very good. I think I gotta say, Chad Gable, dog, he deserved to win that IC title last year at WrestleMania 40 versus Gunther, and I still feel like he deserves to someday win a singles title. Hopefully, well, they gotta make his character more serious. Eventually, a world title, but something. Give him an IC title, US title, just something. Like he to me, he is this generation's Dolph Ziggler, to where he is so good, yet they refuse to just allow him to be given things. Like they gave Dolph Ziggler like the IC title, US title, that was cool, but we kept waiting for him to get a world title. And when he did and got injured, they're like, well, we ain't gonna do that again. And it just sucks. So I don't want Chad. I know Chad Gable's funny and he's charismatic and all that, but I think he deserves to be more than just a comedy character. So I know eventually, once this run is over, and whoever beats him, which I don't want it to be Ray, but it probably will eventually be Ray once he gets better and they end this whole rivalry. Again, I'm glad that Grande Americano won, and I don't know how much longer this feud is going to last. Hopefully it's not too much longer because it's kind of like, okay, you're kind of dragging it. So we'll see what happens, but very good match. And Grande Americano did a 450 like moonsault. I'm like, yo, what is going on? Like, bro, just Chad Gable, bro, is so talented. I can't stop saying that. And then again, Ray Phoenix is so talented. I can't wait to see what they do with him as well. I just hope. I don't want Ray Phoenix to be caught up in the luchador vortex to where they put all the luchadors, or not luchadors, but Latinas with each other. Allow Ray Phoenix to be his own man before you decide to put him in a tag team with like a Andrade or a Penta. Like, allow him to be his own man, at least for a good like 6 months to 9 months. Then if you want to have him team up with somebody or a Ray, do that. But who knows? It probably will not happen. But yeah, again, shout out to Ray Phoenix and Chad Gable. Grande Americano, who was put in a difficult position to basically have an impromptu match because Rey Mysterio got injured. Now on to Tiffany and Charlotte for the WWE Women's Championship. Now we all know this feud has been piss poor, and I said in my predictions, Charlotte is not great at builds because she is not allowed to ever look vulnerable, feel vulnerable, and she's a dick, respectfully. But when it comes to in-ring, Charlotte damn near always delivers. But then there's this match. But first, before I even get into that, shout out to Tiffany's interest, like the Barbie doll. I thought that was really, 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 really cool. They had like 3 Barbie dolls up on the stage to where they kept doing poses, and then Tiffany was the middle one, who eventually got out of like the box. I thought that was really, really cool. Charlotte didn't really have a special interest, but the problem with this match is the same problem with the feud. They don't know what story they want to tell. I think this match was fine. It was even, I would say, good, but it wasn't great because it never had a true flow to it. Like if you look at Charlotte versus Asuka, Charlotte versus Rhea, the second one at 39, there was a story, right? But this one, it just felt discombobulated, Also, I feel like their timing was a little off. Their synergy was just a little off. Now they started off the match as a brawl, like it was a fight. I'm like, yes. This doesn't, just like with Naomi and Jade, this doesn't need to be a wrestling match. It needs to be a fight. You all said personal things towards each other that is damn near unforgivable. There should be a fight. I should see blood, something. So this starts off as a fight, but eventually it starts to become a wrestling match or something like, okay, cool, whatever. And again, I don't even know like how to, like it just, there was no story. Like I thought, like originally they were kind of telling a story that Tiffany was reversing out of everything that Charlotte was doing, or at least matching her in what she was doing. So I'm like, okay, cool. We're telling a story that Tiffany has Charlotte's number, or at least at her level, right? Because Charlotte's thing is, nobody is at my level. I'm better than everyone. So the fact that Charlotte was, the fact that Tiffany was staying with her and countering and kept countering everything she was doing is like, okay, cool. She has Charlotte scouted and she's prepared. But again, it's like I thought near like I guess it was the middle to near the end, where Charlotte does some type of move off the top rope and like lands on her leg wrong or her knee wrong, and it's like, yo, wait. But Tiffany kept capitalizing on it and tried to further injure her knee that was braced up. I'm like, okay, this is the story we're going to tell. And then, Charlotte puts Tiffany in the figure 4, but never does the stretched out figure 8, whatever you want to call it, because Tiffany kept hitting the knee, so she got out of the move. So I'm like, okay, cool, this is the story about to tell, but they kind of didn't. So yeah, it felt like it never got into a third gear. Like it was, every time it kept getting close to a third gear, they would slow it back down, and it's kind of like the timing was just off. And again, I don't know, I guess because I'm from the era of, I don't know, I guess I'm from the Attitude Era or whatever, or Ruthless Aggression Era. Like, I'm also bothered, like I'm so sick and tired of seeing wrestlers, when they hit a move, just stand there and just stare at their opponent for like 15, 20 seconds. I'm like, get back on your opponent. Like, put them in a sleeper or do something and start talking or something. Like, I just hate when people do moves and then just stand there. I'm like, what are you staring at? What are you standing? Like, do something. Show that you're pissed off. Hit the mat. Hit the turnbuckle. Just yell something. It's just standing there. Just, I don't know. It's been annoying me for a while. But yeah. At the end of the day, Tiffany won. She won clean, and there was no climax to the match though. That's what it kind of threw me off. Like, she hit her move and hit the moonsault, and it was kind of over. The prettiest moonsault ever. I think it's the ending move, which is finisher, what it's called. And I'm just like, okay, that was anticlimactic, but at least Tiffany won. They kept putting over how Charlotte could be a 15-time world champion. I'm like, yeah, I don't think she's gonna win this one, cuz. Yeah, just it never reached that third gear. Like, it kept getting there and then just didn't. Now I don't know if it's because Charlotte was not fully her. She has the ability to be fully her because of her knee. I don't know, her ACL. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's Tiffany having nerves. But again, their timing was a little bit off. They were doing moves, but it's like they couldn't figure out what move to do, so they kept having to get out of it. They didn't figure out what move to do. So, yeah. But again, that wasn't really the problem. There was just no story to me for this match, so it was hard to get into. Charlotte was playing the heel, and Charlotte and Tiffany was playing the babyface, and the crowd was into Tiffany, for sure. But I don't know, it was lacking something. Again, that's probably because the story has been so piss poor that it's kind of difficult to get into. But then again, that's not the case, because there's been a lot of horrible, especially women's matches that had no build. Sasha, Bianca, Rhea, Charlotte. Like, there's been a lot of bad women's matches that had great matches actually at WrestleMania. Even Bayley, Io last year, it started off great, but then the build was piss poor, but still the match was great. So I don't know. I was expecting more from Tiffany and Charlotte, especially because a lot of us predicted this before even Tiffany got hurt before Charlotte even got hurt, a lot of us expected this to be the match for WrestleMania 41. And maybe that's also a thing to where our expectations was a little bit too high as well. I don't know. Maybe I got to watch it back and maybe I'll feel differently. But as of right now, I'm just a little bit underwhelmed. But again, at least Tiffany won. And I have no idea where she goes from here. But like I said before, I hope eventually Naomi takes that title off of her because she deserves it for sure. Now on to the main event. Now, again, by this point, I was kind of like, man, this don't really feel like a WrestleMania. Maybe I don't know. And again, my expectations weren't even really that high. But it just feels like there was no spice to it. There was no something crazy happening. There was nothing. Like, it's been a very paint by numbers, straight wrestling match, which there's no problem with that, but give me some type of razzle dazzle something. There was nothing. So I'm like, by the time I get to the main event, I'm like, all right, well, this has been a fine WrestleMania. I don't think nobody's really going to talk about this WrestleMania. But then the main event happens. Seth comes out with a flamethrower, doing his best rock impression for WrestleMania 32. But then comes out like HBK, having the lights go out, and then comes out with white gear. Roman comes out there, no wise man, no bloodline. Looks very strange. The first time he's had a WrestleMania where he wasn't out there, at least the wise man or the bloodline. So that was kind of wild. But I love the tribute he did to his father, his uncle, basically his whole entire family tree. That was really dope. They had actual like screens come down and show the different members of the family: Rikishi, Yokozuna, the Wild Samoans, Peter Maivia. That was very, very cool that they did that. And then you had CM Punk, who had a video package after Roman and Seth was already in the ring. And I'm like, well, this motherfucker's winning. They basically did a tribute to CM Punk and his start in the company, and they played the old Fire Burns theme song. I'm like, holy shit. Like, it almost got me teared up. And they were going back and forth between the first promo Punk did in ECW, then back to the current CM Punk. And he was basically saying the words simultaneously. I'm like, oh my God. It's giving me the feels. Give me those rock goosebumps. So then In Living Color comes out. Great. They just great guitar riffs into the live version of Cult of Personality. Punk comes out in the old school gray hoodie with the yellow boots. Paul's by his side, and I started to get teared up a little bit. I'm like, oh my God. This brings me back to like WrestleMania 29 when Paul Heyman was by Punk's side when he was facing The Undertaker. I'm like, oh my God. This feels right. This feels good. I should have known then that something was going to happen to mess that up. And so my continuous complaint about this match has been there's nothing that's been on the line. There's no stakes. There's no world title, no more contendership. The winner doesn't go on to be in the main event of night 2. So I'm kind of like, even though I know they're going to have a great match, I don't really care. But I'll give it to Roman, Seth, and Punk. Somehow these motherfuckers got me to care, because by the time they first start off like in the crowd, they're brawling in the crowd, then they get back into the ring. By the time they start hitting their finishers, I'm fully invested. Now, I definitely wanted Punk to win. However, but as a fan, I wanted Punk to win. In terms of someone who is thinking outside of being a fan, I'm like, Seth has to win. But I was definitely rooting for Punk throughout the match. And so these guys definitely had their working boots on. They kept doing each other, like getting out of finishers, doing each other's finishers, doing finishers. Then they had a great moment where near kind of the end of the match, Seth had Punk down, Roman was down, and Seth was talking to Roman like, hey, it's you and me. We need to take Punk out. He is the problem here. We need to take him out. And so Roman is contemplating it. He's thinking about it. He's getting emotional like he does. And it looks like they're about to do the old school Shield powerbomb. And it's also crazy because Seth, this is the second night in a row to where he referenced Dean. The Friday night he referenced Dean and said Dean Ambrose's name as he did his version of a pipe bomb, talking about how it was him, Roman, and Ambrose, and how, you know, Paul Heyman got them into business or got them to the main roster or whatever. And then when he's talking to Roman in the ring, when he's trying to convince him to take out Punk together, he's like, you know, it's me, it's you, it's Mox, it's da-da-da-da. Like, we got to get him out of here. I'm like, what? That's a second Dean Ambrose reference. I'm like, what's going on? And they actually call him Mox. It's crazy. And I know damn well Mox ain't going nowhere near WWE, so I ain't worried about that. But so they do they tease the Shield powerbomb onto the announce table, but then Roman takes out Seth and then does his self-own powerbomb and puts Punk through the announce table, then puts Seth through the announce table, and now it's Punk versus Roman in the ring. And now it's the moment that we all expected. Okay, who is Paul? Who's Paul going to side with? Whose side is going to be on? Right? Is it going to be Punk? Is it going to be Roman? Who will it be? And so Paul, of course, gets the chair just like he did. I want to say, what match was that where he got a chair? Brock and Roman. What was that? What was that? Crown Jewel 2021. He gets a chair, but instead of putting it in the middle, he gives it straight to Punk. I said, oh boy, what are we doing here? And Punk and Roman sell it facially so well. But then Heyman got into the ring. I said, oh, damn it, Punk. Well, you're about to get turned on again by Paul. And Paul does. He gives Punk the chair, then low blows him. But he was actually emotional about it. Like, look what you made me do. I didn't want to have to do it. Look what you made me do. Like, he was literally emotional about having to turn on Punk. Because you look at when they were walking down the ring and they were doing the entrance, like, you could tell Paul really, like, in kayfabe and shoot-wise, loves Punk. But Paul is a ultimate opportunist. Shout out to Edge. Which also got referenced on commentary, I believe, which is interesting. But yeah, like, Paul didn't want to have to do it, but he did what he thought he had to do. So then he hands the chair over to Roman, and Seth is on the other side of the ring. I said, these motherfuckers are gonna actually do it. Everybody been saying, oh, Seth is going to join Paul Heyman. I'm like, I don't see that. I don't think they would go that far. But lo and goddamn behold, Paul Heyman turns on Roman Reigns, and Seth puts his hand out like Roman has done for many a years when Paul would hand Roman a microphone or a belt. Paul, like, god dang it, Seth puts his hand out. Paul hands Seth Rollins the chair. And just like this past week, just like at last year's WrestleMania, just like when he broke up the Shield, he hits Roman with the chair, curb stomp, 1, 2, 3, and Seth Rollins wins in the main event of Night 1, WrestleMania 41, with the help of Paul Heyman. When I say I was gasped, I'm like, I can't believe they actually did it. I was adamant that Seth needs to win this. Punk does not need to win this. Punk, when he actually gets his proper main event, Night 2, hopefully for the title, that's when he needs to win. Punk should not be winning Night 1 of a main event of WrestleMania because Punk is the ultimate underdog. So now that Punk has a main event under his resume, now the thing is, now can he win in the main event? Punk said in his interview, I think like right before Royal Rumble, he says, if I win the Rumble and I'm in the main event, what's my story? I would have done everything I wanted to do. So I love that Punk did not win, even though I was rooting for him in the match. And I love that Roman won, because as soon as Seth pinned Roman, right, this is the second time now that Roman has been pinned at WrestleMania now, I'll go right back to the promo that Cody told Roman the Raw before WrestleMania 39. He says he's going to be a chief without a tribe. You're going to be a Roman with no reigns. And that guy right there, your wise man, will leave you. So the fact that everything that Cody told Roman what was going to happen actually did. After a 2-year story arc of everything that Cody told Roman what was going to happen did. And then Seth as well kind of been telling Roman what was going to happen as well. And the fact that they had Seth look strong on Raw, then had him do his pipe bomb type of thing on SmackDown, it's like, well, Seth is looking so strong. There's no way he's going to win, because it's always this kind of thing to where if you look too strong on the go home, then you're going to lose. But no, they made Seth look strong the week up to WrestleMania, and he won in the main event. Which again, Seth needed this more than anybody, because he's been the third wheel not only in this feud, because the feud has been around Paul Heyman, but also is great because Seth literally said that he has a plan, and he told Paul he has a plan. And then, roughly a week or so ago, he said, I don't expect Paul Heyman to cash in on the favor. He has to make that choice to do so. And I love they did that, because it's like, there's no way Paul Heyman is going to give Seth a favor. That is not how favors work. You can't, stranglehold or hold somebody hostage to do a favor. Like, that's not how favors work. It's supposed to be something that is mutual. And so the fact that Seth literally told Roman, if Paul wanted to, Paul is walking down the aisle with Punk because that's what he wants to do. And if Paul wants to cash in on my favor, then he will. But he's not, because he doesn't care for me. And so the fact that Paul actually did the favor, making a choice to cash in on the favor that Seth believes is owed to him. It's like, oh my God, what storytelling with that. What a freaking storytelling with that. And what I'm most excited about is, more than anything, where do you go now with Roman Reigns? Roman no longer has his title. Roman no longer has his wise man. Everyone in his bloodline is prosperous now. Jey Uso is a world champion. Jacob Fatu is a U.S. champion. The bloodline, for the first time, legit does not need him. They are great by themselves. So now he can't even do the whole head of the table thing, because we don't need you, dog. We won without you. We're good without you. Like, so who is Roman now? Without the bloodline, without the wise men, who is Roman Reigns now? So hopefully whenever he decides to come back, they tell that story of who is Roman now. And the fact that my biggest thing and issue with Roman has been he's never really been remorseful about what he's done. Like, he never apologized. Like, the only time he kind of did was versus Solo, when I believe he actually said, I acknowledge you. I think he actually told Solo, I acknowledge you. But outside of that, like 1 week, Roman has never apologized. He never apologized to Jay, never apologized to Jimmy, never apologized to Paul, never apologized to nobody, never apologized to the fans. Just the fans just, after he lost the title, the fans wanted to cheer him. They cheered him the very next night on Raw after WrestleMania last year, saying, thank you, Roman, because he has been the MVP. And he put the company on his back for the past 4 years. So I get that, but the fact that Roman really has not changed anything about his character. He's still a selfish, narcissistic prick. And now I believe this is going to force him to change as a person. Now that he's on his own, he no longer has the crutch of Paul Heyman nor the bloodline. So now it's going to be interesting to see what happens now. And then also, again, I'm very excited to see what happens with Seth. Now that Seth has Paul, I have no idea what that looks like. It just doesn't look right. Like, so the thing with Seth, the thing with Punk and Heyman, we know they've been best buddies for 20 years. They go all the way back to OVW days, back in 2005, where CM Punk was learning the business with the help of Heyman. And then he goes to ECW, and Punk was supposed to be the face of the new ECW, but Vince and creative basically turned that down, and that's basically why Heyman left, because they refused to push Punk as the face of the company, which to this day, I'm like, I watched a video like a month or so ago with like Michael Hayes being like adamant, like it has to be Bobby Lashley, it has to be like, do you not understand the audience? This is why this company has never reached the heights it did back in the Attitude Era, because you do not understand the audience. Punk should have been the face of the new ECW, MMA fighting type style, not a superstar. But anyway, so the fact that Paul Heyman basically left his company that he created, ECW, because they wouldn't push Punk the way he believed they should have. And again, Punk was the one that shouted out Paul Heyman in his infamous pipe bomb. And then he eventually teamed up with him once he turned heel and had a great 6, 7, 8 month run. We all know the history between Punk and Heyman. That's a genuine friendship. That's a love there. Then with Roman needed Paul to help him with the heel turn, to help him with his new persona. And so Paul has been the true right hand, no disrespect to Jey Uso, but he's been a true heartbeat of the bloodline, being the wise man of the bloodline, putting all the pieces in motion for Roman. Kind of like a J.J. Dillon with the Horsemen, I guess you could say. He's been the heartbeat of that, really the heartbeat of Roman's heel persona since 2020. And so you have the story of basically Brock left and Paul needed a new home, and Roman accepted him into the family. So you have that going there. But with Seth, it's interesting because the Shield was brought in by Punk, but basically it was also Paul. So Seth has been saying it was Paul that brought us in. So now you can tell that story, that it was Paul that brought in the Shield, not really Punk. It was Paul that orchestrated that. But even with that being said, I don't know how that looks with the new Seth Rollins. And the thing that I'm concerned about is I was thinking about this, that they've never had WrestleMania, 2-night WrestleManias end with a heel and a heel, or a babyface and a babyface. It's always been babyface, heel, or heel, babyface. WrestleMania 40, it was heel when Rock and Roman won, and then it was babyface when Cody won. WrestleMania 39, KO and Sammy beat the Usos. Babyface win, 39, Roman wins. WrestleMania 38, Stone Cold beats KO, babyface win. Night 2, Roman wins, 38. 37, Sasha and Bianca. Bianca beats Sasha, babyface wins. Night 2, Roman wins. So outside of the very first time they did it at 36, there's never been a night where you've had 2 heels. So I'm very concerned that come night 2, Cody is going to beat John, and it's very feasible that will happen because we know John is not going to be there. It's pretty much a foregone conclusion he's not going to be there. So it's kind of like, oh man, if Cody beats Cena, I don't know. And actually, I wonder, should I wait till tomorrow? I'll wait till tomorrow, because that promo that Cody and Cena had was that intriguing, to where the crowd was actually booing Cody. And I called it a year ago. I didn't think by this particular point how it happened was going to happen this way. But I called a year ago, the crowd is eventually going to boo Cody because he's too much like Cena. Which is, God, how ironic that is. How Cena basically got Cody booed. Nobody else could get him booed outside of Cena, which is crazy. But I'm concerned. And my thinking is, if anybody's going to take that title off of Cody, if it's not Cena, who better than Seth? Seth, who just aligned himself with Heyman and Seth, who's never been able to beat Cody. Now, if you do Seth and Cody, now Seth has his wise man that he can use to help him finally beat Cody and become your new WWE champion, which I wouldn't mind that, but it would just be a shame to waste Cena's heel turn to have him lose at WrestleMania. But again, that's just me just overthinking probably. But I don't know. I'm thinking, like, where do you go here with Seth? Like, he probably will face Punk at Backlash because Heyman turned on Punk and Roman's going to be gone. And so they'll probably do the real rubber match of Punk and Seth, and Seth will win. And then he will go on to fight for a world title. Again, if Cena doesn't win at WrestleMania, it'll probably be Cody, or he'll be the person to beat Jay for the world title. Again, I don't expect Jay to have that title long, and I'm not expecting him to. So I definitely see a world title in Seth's future by the summer. So, and then, maybe you do Seth and Punk for the world title somewhere in the year, or even make that your main event night 2 next year. But this is how you end WrestleMania, because, like I said at the beginning of this did not feel like a WrestleMania until the main event. And even with the main event not having no real stakes, Paul Heyman joining Seth is a proper, okay, now I can't wait for Monday or Friday to see where they go from here, and give it to Triple H. I mean, there are so many WrestleManias to where it's just a bunch of nothing. So Triple H knows what he's doing in terms of, even if most of the card was just fine, maybe a little bit above average, at least they gave us that cliffhanger at the end. And again, you still have night 2, which I don't really expect night 2 to be all that great outside of the title matches of the women's match, the world title women's match, and the men's title match in the main event. But you're going to see what happened. But night 1, in terms of a grade, I would probably say a B-, or I would say 7 out of 10. I don't think when we look back on WrestleMania Night 1, most people will say, I don't think this will be notable outside of Jay winning the title, the Jade Naomi match, and the main event with Seth joining Paul Heyman. That's probably the only true takeaways that's going to come out on WrestleMania Night 1. But yeah, I think an average, a little bit above average WrestleMania. Again, there was just no oomph to it until the end. But let me know how you feel about Night 1 WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas. Like, comment, subscribe, share all the things. Ain't gotta go home. Do gotta get a step in. Welcome to the Hive, bitch. There's Hayes Arcade, your hardcore casual fan. If you're not down with that, I got 2 words for you. Suck it.
I'm the best. I'm the best in the world.